What is up, everybody? Woo! We are back. We hope that you missed us because we miss you, and we have an absolute ton of things to talk about. So let's not waste any time. Let's start the show. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Meat on the 50. And like I said in the intro, we have a lot of stuff to get into. And as always, joining me to break it all down, to get into the conversation, one of my best friends, Brandon Sullivan. Brandon, how are you? How you feeling? Are you recovered? What's been going on?
No, I'm still trying to recover just from a long week, but yeah, just it's good to be back and break down some NFL action. How you doing?
I am doing good. I'm feeling good. Somewhat fully recovered. It sounds like we both came down with a little bit of a cold, but that is not going to stop us from bringing you the action. And remember, you can follow along with us all season long on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts. So simple. You can follow us now. Just take us anywhere with you in any one of your journeys that you set forth on your day, right? Any time of day, you can just throw us on and we are right there, right? And as always, you know what I'm going to tell you. If at any point you like what you hear or see, do us a favor and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new videos drop, you're right there to consume the content, or new podcast drop, you're right there to consume the content, no matter the form of media content that you choose to take in, right? It's right there for you. So we have some things to get into, and let's not waste any time because we have some stuff to go over, but we're not going to go over all of week 6. Come on now. We're just going to do the records. So let's put those records up on the screen. All right. So I know it was 2 weeks ago, but for yourself, 6-8, kind of a downer. 0-1 on the guaranteed victories in week 6, thanks to Tampa Bay? Oh my God, right? And then for myself, 12-2. That's what we needed. A solid week coming out the blocks. 0-1 on the guaranteed victory. Tampa Bay letting us down. Overall for the season, that put us at 49-44-1, 3-3 on the guaranteed victories for yourself, and for myself, 54-39-1. For 1-1 on the guaranteed victories, right? For Brandon, kind of a downer week, but not too bad overall. For me, I would say definitely one of our better weeks that we've had so far. Definitely a bounce back week for me. I needed it. Slow start though, or after that slow start, I should say, for myself. Now, we also did an over-under, if you remember, for that week, and we nailed it. We went both 10-4, so not too shabby for the first time predicting us for the over-unders. We're done with week 6. You guys saw what happened, right? We don't really need to talk about it. Let's talk about what we just saw. So let's put the records up on the screen of what just happened. So for yourself, 9-4. 1-0 on the guaranteed victories because let's just call it what it is. We already know that our guaranteed victories came through. And as a reminder, right? As a reminder, for the teams that we picked last week, they will be in the description down below. Makes it nice and easy for you. So for yourself, 9-5, solid bounce back week. 1-0 on the guaranteed victories. For myself, 8-6, 1-0 on the guaranteed victories. Dominant week for both of us. And overall for the season, that will put us at, for yourself, 58-49-1, 4-3 on the guaranteed victories. For myself, 62-45-1, 5-1-1 on the guaranteed victories. Super solid bounce back week for both of us. We're done with the records. You know what it is. Let's wipe those off the screen. Let's start off with what we just saw. And what we just saw, I think it's kind of a dagger, right? Mac Jones looks to be done as the New England Patriots starter, and I believe we will see Bailey Zappi. Zappi Mania has taken over Foxborough. Don't know how much it's going to help them. What are some of your reactions, some of your thoughts off of kind of an ugly matchup, an ugly game kind of what we saw on Monday night?
Yeah, I don't really have much thoughts. I didn't think it would be a good Monday night game. The Bears are the Bears, the Patriots are whatever. They always have a pretty good defense. I just think that, their offense has had troubles all season. I don't know if Bailey Zappi or Mac Jones are going to be either the answer. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. I mean, I'm going to take it 1 week at a time, but as of right now, they're pretty inconsistent on both sides of the field. So I just interested to see what happens with that quarterbacking situation. I never really believed in Mac Jones. I don't know. I think maybe we might see him again if Bailey Zappi plays bad. Maybe Mac Jones comes back in. I'm not sure, but I think it's going to take they're going to be pretty rocky, I think, for the rest of the season on kind of the quarterback position and as well as that offense. I don't think they have a lot of weapons. So, a good win for the Bears. They definitely needed it to kind of, fight for a spot in the NFC. I feel like the NFC is up for grabs at this point. So, I mean, they have the same record as the 49ers, the Buccaneers, and the Packers. So, give them credit. They definitely had to win that game, and they did.
Yeah, not much to say about this game. I don't know if Bailey Zappi is going to be that guy after, he came in, started hot, and then basically just went ice cold and absolutely just basically looked terrible out there. So whether you got Mac Jones out there, whether you got Bailey Zappi out there, I don't think it's going to help you much this season. Patriots, looks like they're going to be on the hunt for a quarterback for now, and that's very interesting to see. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, they have some good pieces. Now, the Bears are a very interesting team, right? Justin Fields only having 4 total passing touchdowns for the season through 7 weeks. 4 passing touchdowns. That is absolutely horrendous. That's not even horrible. That's horrendous. So that offense needs to figure it out. They're clearly a running offense. That offensive line, terrible. That Bears defense most likely is what is going to keep them in games throughout the season. So not too much there. Bears making kind of not really a statement, but just handling business on the road against the Patriots. Justin Fields looking decent, but that Bears defense, again, basically kind of their staple. They're going to be their identity for the season. So not much to say about that game. Nice job to the Chicago Bears. We'll see what happens to the rest of them for the rest of this season. Let's go all the way back to Thursday, if you can remember that far. Well, I think you do, because we didn't catch much of this game. We saw it here and there. We saw some of the highlights, but we were busy at the New York Rangers San Jose Sharks game in Madison Square Garden, and that was some electric just energy in that building, and especially with the Sharks getting that 3-2 overtime victory, electric. But give me some of your reactions from the Cardinals handling business on Thursday.
Yeah, I thought the Cardinals would win at home. I think that it was kind of a toss-up on this one. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I think that they both, came out pretty well offensively. But the Cardinals were able to, take advantage, I think, of having, Hopkins back and just another weapon on the field. And so that definitely helped them. So give them credit. They were able to score 42 points, which is impressive for any team in the NFL. And, I think that, like I said, they're both kind of in the middle, but we'll see. Maybe the Cardinals or the Saints can emerge next week. And, with this season, it's just so up in the air each week that I really don't even know what's going on. So, the Cardinals could come out and lay an egg next week, or they could come out and drop another 42. So, give Cliff Kingsbury and that offense credit, because they were able to rally and beat a decent team. So, and kind of keep their playoff hopes alive in the NFC West.
Yeah, the Cardinals definitely came out and put on a performance. The red rifle looking like the pink water gun, like he normally does. So, I don't know what to make of really the Saints. I think the Saints are going to go as far as Jameis and Andy Dalton allow them to go. And I think it's more on Jameis to get healthy and get this team back in position. Now, 32 points, obviously no small feat to score in the NFL, right? That's a lot of scoring, obviously, and giving the 2 pick sixes at the end of the half, which is crazy, to bring the Cardinals right back into the game and then give them the lead, which is absolutely absurd. So the Saints, they got to figure it out, obviously, at quarterback. Big issue. Saints defense, really did not show up. They normally do show up. They did not show up at all. They were flat as hell. 42 points. That may be the most the Saints have given up in a long time. So the Saints, well, I guess against the Seahawks too. So that Saints defense, against the NFC West teams are scoring on the Saints. So that's one thing to keep an eye out for. But the Saints defense really let down on the road. Cardinals, you know how I feel about the Cardinals. I'm not really too high on the Cardinals. We'll see. Maybe DeAndre Hopkins comes back, and that is basically the key, which, could very well be. Like Kyler said last year, DeAndre's down there somewhere. So we'll see what happens with the Cardinals. NFC West is looking really interesting right now, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the NFC West is looking really interesting right now, and we'll see how it all shapes out. About to hit about basically almost 50% mark of the season. So Cardinals doing what they need to do, handling business at home. Let's move on to Sunday morning because we had some statements made Sunday. And boy, were there some statements made. My Bengals absolutely doing what they need to do at home, which is handle business against what would be looked at on paper as an inferior opponent. They did what they needed to do. They handled business at home. Joey B looked incredible. Best game of the year. Line looked incredible. Jamar Chase obviously doing what Jamar does. T. Higgins looking great. Tyler Boyd obviously going off, being the lead receiver this week in the NFL. So the Bengals are coming together at the right time, putting it together. Now 4-3, now competing for that top position again in the AFC North. So I'm loving my team. What do you make of the Bengals? How do you think they looked on Sunday?
They look great. And, Joey went back to his traditional form, putting up over 400 yards. And like you highlighted everything correctly with the wide receiver. So hope they can keep this rolling, but a good win for the Bengals.
Yeah, and we'll see. My big thing is obviously play calling, right? Zach Taylor has to make good play calls. There were some shaky play calls there against the Falcons. The Falcons coming back there at the end of the halftime, so the defense has got to kind of tighten up. But overall, Bengals making a statement, solid performance, I believe, on Sunday, which is great to see, especially after that rust coming off of that Super Bowl appearance last year. We also saw, I can't believe it, the G-Men advance to 6-1 over Jacksonville, beating Jacksonville, advancing to 6-1. Some thoughts on the G-Men?
Yeah, they're looking good. I think they've come out and surprised everybody this season. So we'll just have to kind of take it week by week with them. But, as far as they're looking great in this season after winning 6 of their first 7 games, hopefully they can keep it going. It seems like things are just clicking for them on both sides of the football, and they're just, finding ways to get wins. So that's what you have to do in order to make the playoffs. But, right now they're looking like a playoff team early. Yeah. We'll see if, like I said, each week things can change dramatically. Yep. Next week, all I'm saying, as far as my sample size through about halfway through the season is, they're looking really good.
I like it. Yeah, Saquon Barkley having a phenomenal season this year. That is great to see. After kind of the injury struggles that he's had the last couple seasons. Daniel Jones looking like an efficient game manager with not much to work with. I mean, Kenny Golladay, where the hell have you gone? Who's took your powers? Who took your skill? Because you are basically nothing like you were in Detroit. And then Kadarius Toney being injured, right? So he doesn't have these pieces that, a lot of these other quarterbacks have, proving to be 6-1. That defense playing very well under Brian Daboll. And I believe I mentioned it last week. I think I mentioned it to you when we were traveling, but a lot of players have come out and said that they've told Brian Daboll that they did not want to be on the New York Giants when this season started. They did not want to be on the team at all. They would rather be retired or be traded to another team. Since then, every one of those players has basically come up to him and thanked him for basically like reigniting their love in football and basically telling him how excited they are for this team. So the Giants coming out strong, looking great. Like you said, week in and week out, stuff can change. But right now, Giants looking like a playoff team, looking like a playoff contender. We'll see what happens this season with the G-Men. We also saw the Cowboys dominate. The Titans put an end to Matt Ryan as a starter. Announced today, bench for Sam Ehlinger. The Ravens, right, doing what they do, just handling business against a division foe, getting a big win. But the biggest story of the morning comes from the two oldest quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. What's up? What your thoughts? What is going on with these guys?
I think they've hit some sort of rocky part of the season. I'm not thinking too much into it. I've just been trying not to overreact to either. I think that, I think Tom Brady will find a way. I think 3-4, it's still early. I don't know what happened on Sunday, but, I think it just goes to show that anybody can have a bad game. But, obviously inexcusable, only putting up 3 points. So that's not the Tom Brady we're used to seeing.
3 points.
Yeah, that's not the Tom Brady we're used to seeing, the 6-time Super Bowl champion. Sorry, 7-time Super Bowl champion. And that's not what we're accustomed to seeing. So it comes as a surprise, but I do think that, you got to hit rock bottom sometimes before you make that turn.
I like that. I like that.
I expect to see some changes in play calling. I expect to see some changes just on both sides of the ball for that team. And then as far as Green Bay, it kind of goes back to Green Bay doesn't have the greatest defense, and they still are lacking offensive weapons. So I'm not going to put all of that on Aaron Rodgers. I still think that they're in the playoff hunt, and that I think they will surprise some people, and the Buccaneers will down the stretch.
Yeah, I love what you said right there, right? You have to hit rock bottom sometimes to make a change. So we will see, right? This is it. This is the turning point in the season for both teams, right? Brady, 3-4. This is the latest he's had a losing record since 2002, 20 years ago. This is the last time he's had a losing record this late into the season. Aaron Rodgers, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's his weapons. These guys are not catching these footballs. He's putting them perfectly in their laps, in their hands. You got to make a play. These guys have to make a play. So I think a lot of what Aaron Rodgers is going through at this point is growing pains, and that sounds kind of weird but they're just young guys. They got to get used to him. But again, look at Aaron Jones. He was the guy who came in clutch for Aaron Rodgers, right? A veteran guy for Aaron who knows him, who plays with him, right? Year in and year out so far. And it basically knows Aaron Rodgers. So that's what's going to take. It's going to take time for these guys to learn him. Now, does Aaron have that time? That's the question. Tom? Ooh, man, let's see what happens with Tom. This is very interesting. I think this is kind of be the make it or break it season for Tom. I think if Tom doesn't have the season that he kind of was hoping for with this return, if he does kind of have a losing season, a bad season, he may actually think about retiring full-time, real-time, actually not playing anymore. I know he said that he plans on playing basically until he's dead. But I don't know if Tom was going to come back after a bad season. So let's see what happens with Tom Brady. Now, it's Tom Brady. So like you said, am I kind of worried? Not really. I've seen him worse. I've seen him at worse. I've seen him down worse. So we'll see what happens. Bucks Packers is going to be an interesting story to watch the second half of the season, I think. But we are going to move on to the afternoon games. And we saw my guy, Z Willie Wilson. It may not have been pretty, but the Jets keep marching on, right? And those are the games you have to win. You have to beat opponents who are just not good. The Denver Donkeys are not a good football team. They cannot score more than 9 points. They cannot score more than 9 points. It's abysmal. It's embarrassing, and they are just crappy. Big blow for the Jets, though, losing Breece Hall for the year with that torn ACL. Huge rookie, just impact player coming in, making a big difference early on. So that's going to be a big blow for the team. However, Jets not stopping there. They made a move today, trading for James Robinson from the Jaguars for a conditional 6th-round pick. We'll see what happens there, but James Robinson, solid back. So you have James Robinson, Michael Carter out there now. So we'll see what happens. Travis Etienne owners, pop a bottle of champagne, drink a beer, down a beer, chug a shot, do something, celebrate, because your man is now the lone guy there in Jacksonville. So enjoy that. The Jets, what do you make of them?
Yeah, they're looking good, 5-2. Saul is a good coach. As far as holding Denver to 9 points, the defense did what they were supposed to do, even though the Broncos offense is lackluster. But I don't see. The thing with the Broncos is I don't think the problem is Russell Wilson. A lot of people think that is. I know that he didn't play, but my thing is they have weapons. They have a good quarterback. I still think Russ is a good quarterback. I know that he's made some mistakes, but I'm going to come out and say I still think that he's a decent quarterback. I think the defense is pretty good. I think the problem is the coach. I think that you need to make a coaching change.
Daniel can't hack it? I think so.
Yes. That's the issue there in Denver. And obviously, I wanted, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance was my third choice. So, at the end of the day, I thought he was going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. He was one that we had talked about way before the draft even begun. During the season, I had sent you highlights of him. You're like, who the hell is this guy? BYU at the very beginning of the season, where you're like, who the hell is this? But Zach Wilson just doing a good job, and Robert Saleh is. I thought that it would take some time. Yeah. But obviously, they're doing better than I expected. So we'll see if they can keep it up. But 5-2 is way above. I mean, let's put it this way: they're ahead of schedule. They're ahead of schedule.
I completely agree. Right, Robert Saleh has turned into one hell of a head coach so far. Great to see. Like you said, I mean, it was gonna take some time for him to grow into that position. And I mean, let's talk about the picks. Right, the Jets are making the great picks in the draft. Right, Sauce Gardner is a monster at the cornerback position. Right, so they have some guys out there. Right, keeping C.J. Mosley. Huge. So the Jets, 5-2, AFC East, interesting division. We'll see what happens with that going into the second half of the season. I'm pretty excited. We also saw the Sea Chickens dominate the little Sparks. They're not Chargers, they're little Sparks. And I'm sorry, but Justin Herbert is nowhere near Joey B's level. Nowhere near. The Raiders pulling off a must-have victory at home to the Texans, and they may just reclaim the monocle. Oh yeah, I'm talking about bringing it back. The Houston Dumpster Fire Texans. I will reevaluate in the coming weeks, but they are slowly sinking right back into that role. But give it to me. We saw a Niner team that was fully capable of giving it to this Chiefs team. But a competent quarterback was the difference. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too many thoughts or takeaways. Obviously disappointing. You wanted to come out and play better at home, especially against a team of this caliber. But, you got to give it to Mahomes. I'm still kind of on the fence now between him and Josh Allen. I mean, this guy is, I don't know. It's hard to make that choice. I guess I'll pick at the end of the season, but adding Juju Smith-Schuster and adding Marquez Valdez-Scantling is showing that those are big time moves. Yeah. Andy Reid's always going to be one of the best play callers, if not the best play caller in football, and the Chiefs have nothing but my respect. So they came out and they did what they were supposed to do. I think the Niners are rushing some people back. I don't think Charvarius Ward was ready after that groin injury. I don't know if Bosa should have been playing. I don't know how healthy Trent Williams was. Now we're starting to miss Dre Greenlaw going out and then Mosley going out. Yeah. Now we're starting to miss Armstead. We didn't get as much pressure as I thought we would. I think if Armstead would have been there, it would have really helped with the interior line. But, as far as, my biggest takeaway is, when we were driving down at the, we had we got that muff punt and then Jimmy Garoppolo throws an interception in the end zone. Yep. It's those type of plays. Yep. It's he's a guy that can get us deep into the play. He can manage the game to help get us deep into the playoffs. If the defense is clicking, everybody's clicking. But unfortunately, when it comes down to it, he makes mistakes that Super Bowl champions don't. So I like Jimmy. I've always respected Jimmy. I gave Jimmy a good farewell. I really thought that he was not going to join us this season, but Jimmy is what he is. I mean, he's just a middle tier quarterback. He's not a starter. He's a very good backup. And the quarterback that we should have been observing is Trey Lance. Unfortunate, he got hurt, but I'm not going to overreact to this. I mean, we got another win. We got another game. You know, the NFC West and the NFC is wide open. There's a lot of teams that are 3-4.
Very true.
I was looking at that. I think, you know, if we can come out and get a big win next week against the Rams, we have a shot at, you know, reclaiming the NFC West. I'm interested to see, you know, once Christian McCaffrey has a full week
that's gonna be good.
Of reps, you know, if we can get more utilization out of him, because clearly, you know, you have to rely on him, Deebo Samuel, and all these yards after the catch, because Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw a ball down the field. So, I mean, he just can't. I mean, it's just unfortunate, but give the Chiefs credit. They came out and did what they're supposed to do, and in my opinion, they're the best team in the NFL, right next to the Bills.
Yeah, you know, I mean, Jimmy's going to take you as far as Jimmy will go, which is unfortunate. You know, big news, right? We didn't really get into it, but big news was the Panthers traded Christian McCaffrey on Thursday, I believe it was, on Friday, to the San Francisco 49ers for a third, a fourth, a fifth. I mean, talk about a big splash play by the Niners, getting Christian McCaffrey off the Panthers, and making an instant impact, getting huge chunk plays out there on Sunday, right, during that game. And then what does Kyle do? Takes him out, right? So I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's a mixture of Kyle Shanahan's crappy play calling at times and just basically thinking that he's too smart for his own good, and then Jimmy G just not being competent at times. And we saw that on the goal line interception. Muff punt, easy, perfect way to get back in the game. You throw the ball high over your receiver's head, intercepted. So the Niners, going to be very interesting to see what happens. Like I said, the NFC West, very interesting to see what happens this season. Second half of the season, it's going to be very good. Very good, I think, for some of these divisions. Lastly, we had just on paper, an ugly game, and it turned into an ugly game. The Dolphins got off to a hot start and looked like they were about to boat race the Pittsburgh Steelers. But the Steeler defense just hung tough in that second half. But in the end, right, Miami forced that interception at the end of the game to seal it with Kenny Pickett. But your thoughts on the Dolphins with Tua back, right? They look like a different team completely with Tua back, and just that game.
Yeah, no, good for Tua, you know, coming back after a pretty devastating injury there that we saw live on TV. You know, I'm just glad to see that he's back on the football field, and glad that they got the win. You know, I think that, yeah, like you said, it was an ugly game, but, you know, Pittsburgh's always had a pretty solid defense. So I think that, you know, it's been inconsistent over the past couple of years, but sometimes they can prove to be very stout. So I think Miami got definitely a well-needed win to kind of keep, you know, in that race with Buffalo and the Jets. And so they're just trying to stay on par with those two teams. And obviously the AFC is a very tough conference, so they are going to need to stack as many wins as possible in order to make the playoffs this year, because they barely missed it last year. So good for the Dolphins.
Yeah, you know, I think I forget who it was. It was Chris Collinsworth or Mike Tirico, but they basically said that the Dolphins are going to go as far as Tua takes them, because Tua is going to be the one who ignites this team. Teddy Bridgewater, whoever that other guy was, Skylar Thompson, those guys are not going to get the job done, and the Dolphins will go nowhere. So Tua has to stay healthy for this team to have any sort of remote success. And what's crazy is you see Mike McDaniel bring a lot of that San Francisco offense to the Dolphins, and it is effective, right? When you have just super fast weapons, I believe the average speed of that team was 13.6 miles per hour, which is superhumanly just weird. So, I mean, basically 14 miles an hour that team averages in terms of speed on the field. So that is electric. So the Dolphins, AFC East, man, what a conference to watch, right? You got the Bills, the Dolphins, and the Jets all competing, right? Who knows what's going to happen with the Patriots? The Patriots could steal some victories from these three at the end of the season, right? So again, I keep harping on it, but that second half of the season is going to be really fun to watch. The Dolphins, really fun team to watch. I mean, I was watching them early on in that game, and they were electric, just coming out, lighting it up all over the stadium. So the Miami Dolphins, man, we'll see what happens. But again, I'm going to echo what Chris Collinsworth or Mike Tirico said on Sunday night, which is the Dolphins are only going to go as far as Tua takes them. How far is that going to be? We're going to be with you all season long to find out. So, I hope you guys are ready, because the second half of the season, right, leading into week 8, our picks coming up right after that, we are halfway through and it is going to turn up. But that is going to do it for this edition of Meat on the 50, right? And we are glad to be back. I cannot tell you we are glad to be back. And we hope, as always, right, you have enjoyed this episode, and we want to thank you for taking the time for watching our episode, for listening to our episodes, and just basically engaging, listening to us, right, just breaking down with us all of our thoughts, our analysis, predictions, expectations, all that good stuff, right? Brandon, I want to thank you. And Brandon, any last words for the people?
Yep, like I said, taking it 1 week at a time. Try not to overreact, because just a lot of surprises this season so far. So just looking forward to just washing this week away and moving on to next week.
I like it. Yeah, that's all you can do, right? Just wash it away, move on to the next week, and hope your team can rebound and recover, right? We had a lot of good victories this week. We had some bad losses this week. We're on to week 8, baby. We are on to week 8. But remember, I'm going to remind you, right, at the beginning and at the end, right? You can catch us on Spotify now and on Apple Podcasts, right? And if you are following us on Facebook, little plug there, right? You can follow us on Facebook as well. You saw our picks. If not, they will be down in the description for you, so you can see all of our picks that we chose for last week to get to our records, where they were. And as always, you know what I'm going to tell you. If at any point during this video you like what you saw, do us a favor, just smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, just tap on that bell notification. That way, anytime new videos drop, new podcast episodes drop, you're right there to consume the content, because we're going to be dropping content all season long. That's going to do it for this episode of Meat on the 50, our week 7 and I guess week 6 week 6 review. We'll see you with our picks episode, but that's going to do it. Brandon and Jake